Little overcast and a little chillier than it was last night, but we are set for baseball. Middle game of this three-game set between the Rockies and Philadelphia Phillies. Troy Tulowitzki locked in. He was terrific last night as the Rockies routed the Phils 12-1 behind a season-high 18 knocks. Good evening, everybody. Glad you're along with George Frazier. I'm Drew Goodman. Yep, Troy Tulowitzki led the way last night. He's hitting a cool 360 right now.
Yeah, not bad, huh? The way he swung the bat last night, he got some pitches up in the zone, destroyed the baseball. And again, Tulowitzki's feeling good, so you're getting good results out of Tulowitzki. And last night, there were some big highlights in this ball game. He got a ball up out over the plate early in this ball game. 3 for 3, a home run, 5 RBIs. He did walk once in the ball game, shot the double down the left field line. That drove in a couple. It's just continuous for Troy Tulowitzki. When he's healthy, it's a fun guy to watch. And I'll say this, there's not many. He's one of the top 5 players in the game today when he is healthy and able to go out and play.
And he is feeling good. And you know how you know he's feeling good? Look at his defense this year. His range probably is better at any point than it was last year, and that gives you an idea. I know he had the little thigh injury about a week ago, but he has made at least 10 extraordinary plays this year.
And that was a really hard play there with Arenado cutting right in front of him on that side, the back, the flip, the throw. It seems to get him. And again, Arenado on the receiving end of a lot of these throws coming over from Tulowitzki. And if you watch him, it's his anticipation of when the ball's hit. That's why he gets to a lot of these baseballs. He anticipates where you're going to pitch to the defense. And if he sees a slow breaking ball, he knows to cheat a couple of feet over. It allows him to make that spectacular play either up the hole, in the hole, or up the middle.
You know what? There are few players in the game that can impact the game in such a large way, offensively and defensively, and he is one of those guys. As we said, he's locked in. Guy who swung the bat well last night, Drew Stubbs. We'll talk more about the Rockies center fielder when we return. on the season. They played the second most games in all of baseball. In fact, the only team that's played more games this year, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and of course they started against the Dodgers down in Sydney, Australia. Drew Stubbs was at the top of the lineup yesterday along with Charlie Blackmon. He was hitting right behind him. He had 3 knocks. Between the two of them, they went 6 for 10. That's not all that bad, is it, Mark Stout?
That's a pretty good day for those two atop the order, and for Drew Stubbs, it was his 17th 3-hit ball game in his career, his first as a Rocky. The thing about Drew Stubbs is he is used to playing every day in the past for the Reds, and then last year he played a lot of games for the Indians. Thus far this year, he's appeared in 12 games. Yesterday was his 6th start, and he came up with 3 hits. That's half of the hits he has this year, and he'd like to play a little bit more. That's what he said last night.
That's the thing about, playing sporadically. It's hard to kind of find your rhythm, and in the past I've been used to being in there every day and letting it work itself out. But it felt great tonight to get out there and put some good swings on the ball and hopefully build off of that.
A few years ago, he had 681 plate appearances with Cincinnati, 778 in the season, the most ever, and that's by Jimmy Rollins, who's here tonight. You look at the other outfielders involved for the Rockies, and they could be involved because Michael Kadire is still down tonight. He has that left behind his knee tendon injury. He pulled up on a ground ball in San Diego last week, so he's out for his 2nd day, and they're going to have to monitor that, Drew, because it could be a disabled situation if it continues to nag him down the road. But Drew Stubbs, a 2nd straight start tonight for the Rockies.
Yeah, that is a concern, obviously, with Michael Kadire. As we learn more, we will pass it along. The Rockies ready to go. Colorado, Philadelphia. Come on back to 20th and Blake with us.
All right, good. Jimmy, let me.
Toyota stores. Toyota, let's go places. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at southwest.com. Jordan Lyles will throw the baseball today for the Rockies, hoping to pick up where Tyler Chatwood left off yesterday. He had a brilliant 7 innings for Colorado, 4 consecutive solid starts for Rockies pitchers. Jordan Lyles hopes to make it 5 in a row. Ben Revere will lead things off once again for Philadelphia. And Ryan Sandberg's lineup is brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. Well, they produced only 2 hits yesterday. They're going to get another chance tonight because it's the exact same lineup as last night. Revere, Jimmy Rollins, Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, Marlon Byrd, Dominic Brown, Carlos Ruiz, Cody Ashe, who was the only starter with a knock last night. Jason Nix off the bench had a pinch single. That was the entire offense for Philadelphia. Well, Jordan Lyles, we've seen him be very good this year. This will be his 4th start. For more on what Jordan Lyles has been up to, we'll have George Frazier tell you about his Inova Cancer Care numbers. Learn more about outpatient prostate cancer treatment at InovaCC.com.
He was really good here at Coors Field when he pitched against the White Sox. 6 2/3, 5 hits, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. He also went 3 for 3 at the plate that day. His last start against San Diego, 5 innings, 3 runs given up, and that was a ball game the Rockies had the lead when he left and didn't come up on the empty end of things here. So Lyles will try to handle the first part of this order. It's interesting to note the leadoff man this year hit 375 against him, but that first time through the lineup, totally he's dominated well. 167.
George, you've been in this a long time, and sometimes pitching, especially starting pitchers, there can be a handoff, hand the baton to the next guy, and there's a good competition within the group of starters. And Lyles' first pitch is in there for a strike at 91 miles an hour, and that's what you hope is occurring right now at the Rockies.
You don't want to blow up the bullpen. You don't want to be that guy that blows up the bullpen. And I think, too, it is very good competition. And it's also momentum boosting when you see an outing like yesterday from Tyler Chatwood, which he was outstanding. So much has been made of what Tulowitzki did yesterday, as it should have been. Chatwood, 7 innings, 2 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts in 7 innings of work. Tyler was outstanding.
I thought Tyler threw the ball with the 1 inning, the exception in San Francisco. He threw the ball great at AT&T as well. Chatwood's off to a solid start after having missed the first 2. Jordan Lyles replaced Chatwood, you may recall, in the rotation. 3-2. He pitched so well that he has maintained his spot in the rotation. Chatwood came back. They originally moved Morales out, and now Frankie's back in because of the injury. One out because of the injury to Brett Anderson. Well, with that good defensive play by Lyles, we'll look at who else he has out there with him. And it's brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com to learn more. Cargo in left. Drew Stubbs, after the 3-hit night that Mark was telling you about, is in center once again. Charlie Blackmon is in right for Michael Kadire. Arenado, Tulowitzki, LeMahieu, Morneau, and Rosario round out the starting 9 for the Rockies. Jimmy Rollins will step in. And Jimmy looks at strike 1 at 93. You can see when you watch Lyles why the Rockies, when they made the move sending Dexter to Houston, wanted Lyles coming back. He's got a very good arm.
Good arm, and he sinks the baseball. You got to remember his record and his career numbers, 16-29, and he kind of got to throw those out the window. He played on bad teams in Houston. He didn't have defense behind him, not a lot of offense. Played in a bad ballpark where the ball flies. And he was a young kid. He was 19, 20 years old when he first came to the big leagues. Now 23, has matured much like Chatwood has matured as a pitcher.
2-1 on Rollins, and this ball's well hit right center field. Stubbs will get over there. He called off Charlie Blackmon.
Now the temperature has dropped here at the ballpark rather quickly, about 4:35 o'clock, and it has continued to stay cool here at the park. I think that's going to affect some of the flight of the baseball, but the nice play by Stubbs. He just told Charlie, I got it. Charlie able to back off and let Stubbs make the play. There's a lot of speed in this outfield tonight in this lineup.
And you need it covering the Ponderosa. Jimmy Rollins is retired, 2 outs. Game time temperatures 57 degrees or 15 degrees cooler than it was yesterday when it was gorgeous. Of course, it reached a high into the low 80s yesterday. Chase Utley takes strike 1.
Interesting note, Sandberg before the game today, former teammate, so I talked pretty openly with him, and I said, tough place to manage when you give up that many early, and he goes, it is, but you've got to counterpunch. You've got to come right back at them with your offense, and we weren't able to do that. He said Chatwood was really good.
Jonathan Pettibone, who made the start, got beat up again here at Coors Field, as he did last summer, was outrighted to Lehigh Valley after the game.
I didn't know this prior to the game, but talking to somebody with a half-swing base hit into right field, Charlie will cut it off, is that Pettibone had a issue last year at the big league level. Didn't even go through spring training, was in an extended, and he came in and filled in for 2 starts for Sandberg and his pitching staff when Hamels went down and they had the injury. He was the guy they brought. Pitched pretty good in their ballpark, did not pitch well last night.
It was just one of those deals. He didn't have anything to put a Rockies hitter away. Ryan Howard with 2 outs and Utley at first. Rockies again employed the shift. DJ LeMahieu's 30-40 feet out to the outfield grass, and he fielded 2 ground balls there by Howard and threw them out last night on the corner for a strike. Job by Rosario.
Total miss of location by Lyles. It was a very nice save by Rosario. Watch where this is on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mo, trying to go to that outside corner, and it just blew it up on the inner half.
Rosario sets up away again, and that misses. And now Williams going to go out. Utley, the 2-out single. He was 0 for 4 last night.
You know, you put this kind of shift on, you're playing first base, and of course I got to go back in my time when you had Willie Stargell, Dave Parker, 2 big left-handed hitters who could really pull the ball, do it with authority. Renault can't be too happy sitting over at first, only 90 feet away, and you think that slider, tell him to bury it down and in, and you happen to leave it up a little bit when your second baseman's playing 40 feet into the outfield. This
Here's
is why you scout guys this way. When you see a spray chart pop up, he's had 1 hit to left, 11 to center and right, majority to right. And through his career, it will tell you the same thing. His history is a dead pull hitter.
Here's the 3-2 runner going, swung on and missed. Nice job, Jordan Lyles punching out Ryan Howard to end the top of the 1st inning. Troy drives it high and deep center field. Revere going back, looking up. See you later. Good night for the Rockies last night in their return home. So they put a 2-game winning streak together, looking to build on that and build on the 18-hit attack on a Friday night. Charlie Blackmon's going to lead things off again for the Rockies. Walt Weiss's lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Why not run the same lineup out there that produced 12 runs and 18 hits? And that's exactly what Walt has done. Drew Stubbs will bat second. Cargo third. Tulowitzki with the huge night. Justin Morneau. Willeen Rosario, Nolan Arenado, DJ LeMahieu, and Jordan Lyles. And Rosario had 3 RBIs last night. The top 2 guys in the lineup, 6 for 10. And between Blackmon and Stubbs, they scored 5 runs. That is setting the table.
Kendrick is a sinker ball. Occasional forcing guy. Nice running catch by Jimmy Rollins.
And Jimmy stole a hit last night from another Rockies player. It escapes me who hit it, but it's a similar type of play. Let's look closer at Kyle Kendrick's numbers. They're brought to you by Inova Cancer Care. Learn more about outpatient prostate cancer treatment at InovaCC.com.
6 career games at Coors Field, 5 starts. 1-0, 558 earned run average. Pretty good with nobody on base. The league's hit just $167. It's when traffic gets on that things start to go a little crazy. Left-handed hitters have hit nearly 400 against him this year.
They've run through some big-name pitchers in Philadelphia over the last 6-7 years. And the guy that always seems to be filling the bill at the back of the rotations, this guy, Kyle Kendrick.
Perfect 5th starter. Absolutely perfect guy. He'll give you 150 to 180 innings every year. You can spot start him. You can do different things with him. He'll keep you in ball games. He'll win 9 to 10 to 11 games a year. He stays pretty healthy for the most part.
The Rockies scored 11 runs off him here at 9 1/3 last season. Here's the 2-1, and Stubbs bounces this foul. Last night, the first multi-hit game of the season for Drew. 2-2. Kendrick has won at least 10 games in a season 5 different times. So to your point, that's outstanding for a 5th starter.
64 wins, 56 losses in his career. He's 29 years old.
Former 3rd-round pick, excuse me, 7th-round pick of the Phils back in 2003. And he goes off speed, and Stubbs is gone. 2 outs. That'll bring up Cargo. The Phillies defense is brought to you by Excel Energy. Visit responsiblebynature.com today to learn more. Dominic Brown in left, Ben Revere and Marlon Byrd in the outfield as well. Cody Ashe, Jimmy Rollins, multiple Gold Glove winner at shortstop. Chase Utley is at second. Ryan Howard at first, and Carlos Ruiz is behind the plate. Yes, it's similar to what the Rockies do with Howard. They'll put a shift on for Cargo.
Very different, though, in one respect. Their 3rd baseman's in right center. Jimmy Rollins stays at shortstop. Utley stays pretty much at second, just backs up. Their 3rd baseman, Ashe, runs all the way to right center. There's some play out there.
Yeah, and there's some teams that'll do it this way to have the more nimble fielder remain on the left side. Since there's only one guy over there anyhow. Cargo, if he bunts right now, may get a double.
And he's done that with his shift on. What we showed you was Ryan Howard, why they play you that way. 2 hits to left field so far for Cargo, 16 to center field and right, mostly back up the middle.
And Jimmy slid even further up the middle, George, on a 2-0 count.
This is where pitchers can help themselves if they throw something off speed for a strike.
And a good start for Kendrick. He gets the Rockies 1-2-3 in the 1st inning. We'll go to the second. No score at Coors Field. Get your 2-for-1 Rockies club level tickets today by going to wellsfargo.com/Rockies. Wells Fargo Bank, member FDIC. Jordan Lyles wants to keep this Philadelphia Phillies offense at bay. Over the last 3 ball games, not including the first inning tonight, they are a collective 13 for 87, a 149 average. And in those 3 games, they've scored a whopping 2 runs. They're going to break out at some point. You want to read about it in the paper and not see it firsthand. Nice job, Morneau. And I'll tell you what, great play by Arenado. Morneau had to go to the back of the bag to catch the throw. And that's where that experience at first base really paid off.
It's all about footwork and registering where this throw may go and where the base runner is. Morneau did a very good job of that, of handling the back. See, watch the feet shift. Lucky though that foot, when it foot right out kind of in the middle of that bag, it's always a concern with the runner as he looks down. Most guys will do what they can to avoid it. You talked about that drought of scoring runs. That's all against the Atlanta Braves, who lost 3/5 of their rotation. And yet seem to continue to play great baseball. They're ahead today 2-1 against the Mets in the 4th.
Never seems to matter. They keep coming up with pitching.
Well, you know, they got lucky. I'll say that for them. With a couple of the guys. I mean, you know, yesterday's starter, whenever he threw 7 innings of no-hit baseball.
Aaron Harang.
You know, he was basically on the scrap heap, and they picked him up. He walked 6 in the ball game, but still 7 innings shutout baseball. He's been very good. He's 3-1.
7 innings of no-hit baseball. Yeah. And if you're wondering why he didn't continue, he'd thrown 121 pitches at that point. And Freddie Gonzalez said there's no way, even though you're 6 outs away, you just can't have a guy throw 150 pitches.
And unfortunately, the reliever came in and gave up a hit. That was the only one they got.
3-1 on Dominic Brown. Pulled to second. DJ. 2 outs. 3 ground ball outs so far, which is a great sign for Mr. Lyles. Ford Strike Zones, powered by Ford SUVs. The versatility you need and the MPGs and quality you deserve. It's the smarter way to get there. Ford, go further. Carlos Ruiz.
Shocking, the everyday catcher doesn't have an RBI in this lineup yet. Mentioned the ground ball outs this year, this season for Jordan Lyles. 27 ground ball outs compared to 9 fly ball outs. That's going into this game. It's even better now.
gets fouled off.
It's a light mist right now at the ballpark too, to go along with the chilly temperatures. So expect that to play a little bit into some ground balls that are hit on the grass surface.
I'm thinking I'm going to go to the utility closet here in a moment and break out the heater, George. The
Don't
space
have
heater.
it. Sam sold it.
No.
Sam sold it.
No, he's got it.
Go up on the rooftop and get by that.
Build their own little campfire
Yeah,
here, but I
did.
think they'd frown upon that. I think that'd be some sort of building violation. And on the ground, Arenado. Nice pickup at first by Morneau. And the Rockies and Jordan Lyles, a very efficient second inning.
Is about to step to the plate. He's a guy that could take over a game on his own. But last night in his first at bat, he had 14 pitches until he drew a walk. It was kind of team oriented, if you hear Blake Doyle, the hitting coach, talk about it.
He took the team concept right to it last night. And I have to believe that that was part of that 14 strike at bat, that this was a team thing in his head. I have to believe that, and knowing Tulo, it was.
Yeah, guys, that kind of set the tone. Drew the walk, 4 runs in the first, and then he went 3 for 3 the rest of the night.
Yeah, he had a tremendous night. And it's not as if he's had a slow start. I mean, he's been hitting for average. He hadn't had a boatload of RBIs until last night, but he'd been getting his hits. He's one of those guys. Carlos Gonzalez obviously is another one of those guys who literally can carry a team offensively for 5, 6, 7 days. Shoot, Troy did it for a month a couple years back in September when he drove in 40.
Gamemanship there between Tulo and Kendrick. Kendrick staring in. Tulo finally stepped out. Kendrick kind of looked at him like, let's go. First pitch fastball. As hot as Tulo is, it wouldn't be one of those guys would want to hurry up to get in the box. Kind of anticipated that. He tried to come inside. Coming back that way again.
And Troy pulls it, but it's going to go foul.
See, that's the thing about Tulowitzki. He is an upright hitter. And if you think you're going to come inside, you think you're going to bust him on his hands, you better come with something more than 89 miles an hour. I can tell you that on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo. trying to get that pitch in under his hands. You talk about opening your front side, get your hands close to the body, get the barrel head through. It's exactly what Tulowitzki did. And that ball was a good 4 to 5 inches inside off the plate.
And Troy maybe starting another 14 pitch at bat. Who knows? Fouls that pitch away. It remains 1-2. Tulowitzki, Morneau, and Willeen Rosario. Troy 5 for 14 lifetime against Kendrick. Here's something interesting. The guys that Kendrick's faced in the Rockies lineup, and he's seen most of them, other than Stubbs, who has struck out 6 times against him, he's produced just 2 other strikeouts. Now, he's not a big punch-out guy. He's a ground ball guy when he's going well. But you think about last night with Pettibone, and he got to 2 strikes a number of times. He didn't have a pitch to put any of the hitters away.
He didn't have a slider last night, and he was elevated a lot. Even on those strikes, he was elevated.
They moved the foul pole, George. That'd be an upper deck home run.
Somebody pretty happy. They probably didn't think they were going to get a ball up there, did they?
And this is top to third. Ashe's got it. 1 out.
I'll tell you what, he really got away with a pitch there. That was a high breaking ball.
Fans will answer your questions during Toyota Talk. It comes your way in the 5th inning. Here's how you get involved. Text the word Toyota followed by your question to 720-720. And watch as we answer as many questions as we can during the 5th inning. Watch your step. And it's strike 1 on Justin Morneau. Hit the ball harder than that line would indicate. Bottom right portion of your screen. Inside on Morneau, 1-1. Well, Matt Williams trying to put his stamp as a first-year manager on a very talented Washington Nationals team. Tell you the story in a moment. Inside 2-1. In the 6th inning, 2-time All-Star Bryce Harper hit a ground ball in the infield. He didn't run hard enough for Matt Williams. Matt Williams yanked him out of the game, replaced him with Kevin Franson. And after the game, when Williams was asked why Harper came out, he said lack of hustle.
So I'm proud that he actually did that. And I think there's a lot of guys that you watch at the big league level that get stardom, Drew, that it's not hard to run 90 feet 4 or 5 times a night.
And Harper acknowledged as much after the game. Said, I respect what he did. That's part of the game. Mike Rizzo, the general manager, also backed Matt Williams in taking him out. 3-2.
And there's a way to play the game and a way not to play the game. Pretty simple.
And I also believe if you're going to have rules and then you apply them on one of your best players, everybody's going to really take notice.
Well, they'll respect you more.
This ball lined to deep left field. Brown going back will make the catch. Ball was hit well by Justin. 1 out, or excuse me, 2 outs, and that'll bring up Rosario. Willeen owns 7 career home runs against Philadelphia. That's the most he's hit against any opponent outside the NL West. In fact, his slugging percentage is .907 against Philadelphia all time, which is absurd. Hey, welcome back, Jason Giambi, just activated by the Indians.
Well, I'm thinking about all those home runs. Jason hit 3 in that game.
Actually, Monday he's going to get activated.
Right. But all the home runs he hit against the Phillies in a raining. Remember, it was raining that night in Philly. Hit those home runs. I think it was against Kendrick.
3 of them.
Hit 3 of them in the ball game. Never had hit 3 in his career in one game.
And that was something. That fact, because you're talking about a guy who had more than 400 home runs, been an MVP. So he never hit 3 in a game until that night in Philadelphia. Swinging 3-0, and Jimmy Rollins has it. Up the line comes Ryan Howard. That'll be all for the Rockies in the second. So Kendrick has set down all 6 Colorado players he has faced. And by Southwest Airlines, find our fares online only at southwest.com. Oh, look at that. Tomorrow's Easter and got a little bunny tonight, huh?
I miss those days with the grandkids. You notice I said grandkids because I can hand those back to their mother and father after about 4 or 5 hours.
That's the rule typically. So I'm a long way from that. Cody Ashe out of the 8th spot in the lineup for Ryan Sandberg. He takes strike 1. Kyle Kendrick and Ben Revere to follow. And Ashe, a weak ground ball to Arenado. He's been busy. You saw the throw from Jimmy Rollins pull Ryan Howard way off the bag. And the reason probably for that is it is drizzled a little bit. It rained a little bit during the Phillies batting practice session. And so by the time that ball gets out to one of the infielders, picking up some moisture.
It has, and that's what's going to happen. I mean, the balls stay fairly dry because they rotate them in and out all the time. But that ball was one that hugged the ground an awful lot, and that's why it went over that way.
1 strike on Kendrick.
Watch out.
Yeah. Kyle's a good athlete. We've told this story before when he's faced the Rockies. He's out of the state of Washington, and he had a full ride to play quarterback at Wazoo, Washington State. Turned that down to sign a professional baseball contract. 2-2. And he's run it full. Came out of his delivery there, didn't he, George?
Peeled off. You could see it right at the very end. That upper half of the body got rotational, and you did just kind of pull everything out. Don't care how good a hitter is, he's the pitcher.
That is a Baltimore chop, and
that's a great play by Lyles.
Yeah,
very athletic play.
Lyles, who was a wide receiver recruit to the University of South Carolina, looked like a quarterback running an option at the end of that.
Yeah, that was an outstanding play here. He's going to go get it because he knows that LeMayeu's back. Flipped him or no, that's going to be the out. But a nice job with it, because you mentioned too that Kendrick, a very good athlete, runs well. But he just stretched out to get it instead of trying to flip it normally like a baseball. He just flipped it like an option quarterback. Give him a little bit of a break. First time through, 6 ground ball outs. That's pretty good. Just 1 hit given up. Mentioned 27 ground ball outs coming in and only 9 fly ball outs for Jordan Lyles. So add that on into 36 ground ball outs now.
Ben Revere intentionally taking his time to let Kendrick get back and catch his breath, and Jordan Lyles probably doesn't mind either.
Give me a little break. That's absolutely right.
That's a strike on Revere. Had Revere swung at that pitch, George, he would have caught a rash of heck unless he hit it out. 2 quick outs. Pitcher just ran. You got to take a pitch.
Well, the hard part is too, you got guys warming up the bullpen late in the game, and a manager happens to call down a little bit late, and you get 2 quick ground ball outs. You're throwing about 7 pitches. You're getting ready to go to work.
Tulo on the move over to first, and another strong inning from Jordan Lyles. That is 6 consecutive balls on the ground from Jordan. Who wants tacos? Remember, if the Rockies do as they did last night, score at least 7 in a ball game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 and get your Rockies taco special. Liv Moss at Taco Bell. Rockies are averaging giving away tacos every game at home. They're averaging 8.1 runs per game at Coors Field. .5 runs on the road, and that's the first knock of the game for the Rockies. Nolan Arenado. That's a 10-game hitting streak as well for Nolan. How about that? third Rocky already. Think about this. This is game number 19, Frage, and 3 Rockies have already had a 10-game hitting streak. Cargo and Kadai are out of the gate had 10-game hitting streaks.
I think going into the season, you automatically thought in your mind that with this lineup, you're going to score a lot of runs. You're going to have a lot of hits in ball games. Yesterday was 18. So, I mean, those are things that went on, and I think people felt like there would be a lot of offense here.
And a strike on LeMahieu. This is the part of the order that some managers like to hit and run. Arenado, though, not any better than an average runner. DJ does handle the bat well. Stays inside the baseball typically. And it's on. And it's going to go through the left side. Arenado cuts the bag at second. He'll go to third. DJ LeMahieu, a wide turn. He'll come back. They're going to send Arenado. Throw to the plate. Out at the plate. They may review that. Arenado jumped up. Didn't mean to hit Tim Welke. Put his arm around him. He thought his spikes were in there. Walt's going to come running out of the dugout. This one is worthy of a close look. And you know that's what Brian Jones is doing, the Rockies' outstanding video coordinator right now.
Well, the ball's hit into left center field, and I think Stu Cole wasn't thinking about going with him until Brown went to second base with the throw. They weren't set up to come in. You know what? I think he's safe. We're in the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermall. Well, let's look at that leg come in. He's got his legs spread apart.
Is he blocking the plate, George, also before the ball arrives?
See, I don't think the tag got there anyway. If he, you know, this is what Walt's arguing.
This one, that's hard.
They're going to go review it.
They're definitely going to review it. Yep, they're leaving the field. I don't know if you can. We got to slow that way down. Let's see what this one looks like. I can't tell there.
Yes, yeah, in that respect, he's probably out.
But here's the thing also that New York can look at. Did he give him a path to slide to the plate? Because you can't block the plate without the baseball. This manager's replay is brought to you by Subaru's EyeSight Driver Assist technology, a vigilant safety feature that gives peace of mind to every drive. I like the overhead look, George. I'd love to see if our crew can slow. This is a different one. We can slow it down almost frame by frame to see if the foot gets in before the tag. That's too tough to tell.
Slow it down.
Slow it down. Stop. Tag. You know what? He's out.
Yeah, he's out by about 1.5 inches, 2 inches. He's out. But again, I guess what you're talking about too. Did he give him a path to slide to home plate? He had the left leg out in front. Did he have the ball before contact was made? See, that's the other thing. He had the ball in his glove, which gives him the right to put his foot out to block. They're watching it quite a few times in New York. They got an answer. You got one here, guys.
Safe at the plate. And you know what? I'm wondering, and this is something they may have to add, because Tim Welke, veteran umpire, this is his 29th year in Major League Baseball, is explaining it to Ryan Sandberg. And I think one thing that they have to add is, in a play like that, George, was he safe because the foot got in, or was he safe because the catcher didn't give the runner a place to slide?
I mean, that's what Rhino's looking at right now. And Tim Wilkie's saying, hey, I called it the way I thought I saw it. You know, unfortunately, the guys in New York saw it a different way. I don't know what to tell you, Rhino.
Well, but George,
see right here, he's got the ball in his hand. He's got his leg out and positioned out. The tag is applied before the foot got on top of the base. That part he's out.
I have to believe, based on that video, and that he was called out, that it was because he didn't give, Carlos Ruiz did not give Nolan Arenado a portion of the plate without the baseball. But, you know, we'll probably find out after the ball game when Tim Welke, if he's interviewed, lets us know. The good news is the Rockies are up 1-0. Nobody's out, and another runner in scoring position in LeMahieu. Stu Cole's done that twice now. He reads the throw.
Well, he reads where the cutoff's going. You know, are they cutting off to go to home, or are they cutting off to go to second base to prevent the runner from advancing? DJ was very alert to the fact that once they pivoted and threw the ball home, he advanced into scoring position with nobody out.
Just a great job all the way around. Great job by Stu Cole. Great job Arenado scoring from first. Wonderful job on the hit and run by LeMahieu. And it's 2-0 on Lyles, who's trying to get a bunt down. Keep this in mind. Lyles is a really good hitting pitcher. Two and one. Well, that's the fourth time that Walt Weiss has asked for a play to be reviewed. One time it stood, one time it was confirmed, and 2 times Walt has had the play overturned. So he's got a pretty good track record going. That's a pretty good read by LeMahieu. He's able to cross, and Lyles eschewing the bunt and getting the job done. He moved the runner, and now with 1 out, the Rockies have an opportunity to produce a second run. Charlie Blackmon coming up. LeMahieu 90 feet away. The infield comes in halfway for Ryan Sandberg.
It's because you have pretty good arms in the middle of the infield and at third base.
We also have good speed at third for the Rockies. Put a number up there for Charlie Blackmon that's not glowing or among the league leaders. Batting average, on base percentage. Heck, he's hitting .500 with runners in scoring position. I was wondering why the fans are going nuts, and that's why they're going nuts. There's a squirrel on the field.
You want to see a bunch of guys scatter? Wait till it runs to that Phillies dugout.
He's heading in that direction.
Yeah. It's like I came in here last night. There was none of this was going on. What happened? Kidding me?
Who are all these people?
Yeah, you guys left a bunch of stuff for me to eat last night.
2-1.
He looked up, saw the people standing up looking at him, and he took off. I'm out of here. See ya. I'm going out to the outfield again into the corner. Watch out, Stu. You see Stu jump. That's funny. Get a base hit here, Charlie.
Big cut, 2-2. And going back on the field.
He wants to prevent the bunt, is what he's waiting on.
Go see the Rockies. Oh, you know what? He's going over to EY.
EY, don't walk out there in front of him. Make him go back the other way. Stop. He came in from somewhere. He's got a hole somewhere to get out. He came in from somewhere.
Going back.
He's looking at the ground screw right now. He's getting a little angry right now. Somebody come out and help us. I think Tim Wilkie's very happy right now.
Tell you what, this squirrel's getting some
exercise. Yeah, he's getting a morning run in, isn't he?
Yeah, he's not in the infield. field, Tim says, all right, we can play baseball. Strike 3 on the inside corner. 2 outs. That's just the 4th time this year that Blackmon has struck out.
Inside fastball. Trying to show you on the strike zone where this pitch actually was. It ran back, but not onto the strike zone. You look at it on the overhead, this is the one that gets you. That's why Charlie's arguing. I mean, that ball's easily on that inner half. Charlie can't believe it.
Drew Stubbs.
Where'd the squirrel go, Drew?
Lost track of him. There he is. We've locked off a camera. We have a squirrel cam now. One and one on Stubbs. Drew struck out his first time up. Rockies with 7 of 14 runners in scoring position last night. Hitting .304 in such situations. Delayed strike call by Tim Welke, and it's 2-2. And the pitch just did get the strike zone.
Extremely high. You don't see that pitch called very often. Plus running back over the top of the plate.
Slowly hit the short. Rollins has to hustle, and he'll just get it across in time to get Stubbs. Rockies come up with a run. Arenado lead single. He scored on a hit and run base hit by DJ LeMahieu. Squirrels flying.
He missed the door, though. That's the bad part. You missed the door, and then you ran right by the Phillies. Now you're back on the loose again. Here he is, headed towards the infield.
When's he going to take a nap?
He's stopping out there. He's camping right now.
Saying a load of cargo. Rockies up 1-0. Jimmy Rollins in the 4th inning. Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, 2, 3, and 4 to face Jordan Lyles.
So the umpire at third's trying to worry about fair and foul, and he's trying to keep the squirrel off the playing field. I think he just threw him out of the game.
base hit for Rollins.
They hit the ball hard into right center field. That's part of that lineup that they talk so much about.
Now it's time for you to tweet us your Rockies fan photos using the hashtag CO fan photo for a chance to have it shown during an upcoming game. Somebody take a picture of the squirrel. That's going to be on a future broadcast, I know. Chase Utley with his buddy Jimmy Rollins at first. And a fly ball to center field. Cargo and Stubbs. It'll be Drew Stubbs, 1 out. And now Ryan Howard. Rockies put the shift on, but unlike Philadelphia, the person on the left side is the third baseman, Nolan Arenado. This ball really hit hard to center. Stubbs will take it on a bounce. And it's first and second, 1 out. Well, we've gotten clarification on that review that overturned the out call at home. Walt Weiss requested a crew chief review as to whether or not Carlos Ruiz blocked home plate. And Tim Welke, after looking at it, determined, as we all know, that he did in fact block home plate without having the baseball, and as we were assuming.
Well, the rule states you can't put your leg out and block the path prior to having the set up in that fashion. So he's set up to block without the ball. You can block it after you catch the ball. You just can't set up to prevent that path coming in. That's basically what the rule means.
And the rule, if you want to look it up online, is 7.13. Marlon Byrd and Lyles searching for a ground ball, and he's gotten a bunch of them today, but he's got 2 on now in the 4th with 1 out, nursing a 1-0 lead. Byrd hit a ground ball to third his first time. Byrd, his first 6-7 years in the league, had occasional power. 40 home runs between 2002 and 2008. Since 2009, he's hit 68 home runs. And going down in Texas, twice has eclipsed the 20 home run mark. His career high last year, 24 home runs between New York, that being the Mets, and Pittsburgh. 2-1. 3-2.
Don't forget about Monday is the next Purple Monday, so wear your purple shirt and win prizes. Plus the first 5,000 through the gates, you're going to receive a Rockies purple t-shirt. Be sure to check out the ticket specials for that day, including green packs and value packs.
Shattered bat, and it's fouled off past Juan Samuel. Couple former MVPs, one in the American League, one in the National League. Ryan Howard, Justin Morneau. It's funny talking to Michael Kadire today around the cage. I said, how many of those guys over there do you know? He said, I know a lot of them. He goes, because they have a lot of guys my age. Talking about Howard, Utley, and Rollins, and Ruiz. There's Cuddy. Rockies up 1-0. Top of the fourth, 2 on, 1 out. And that will load the bases. Even the pitches that were fouled off, balls come up in elevation from Lyles. Dominic Brown, a dangerous hitter, coming up with the bases loaded. First walk allowed by Lyles as Jim Wright goes out.
Yeah, and you'd like to see the ball on the ground here. I'm sure that's what he's probably going to tell him. You're fine. You're just getting out a little quick. Let's get your hand on top. Drive it down in the bottom half of the zone. Let's get a double play ball. Get out of here. You go to the mound, you try to have positive thoughts for your pitcher.
.53 pitches in, 30 and 23 strike to ball ratio. 2 hits and a walk in the inning. Brown grounded to second, his first time up. Should be 2 if Tulo can pick it up. He can on the LeMahieu to Morneau. 6-4-3. Great pickup by Troy. That ball was smoked, and the Rockies work out of it. They'll take a 1-0 lead to the bottom half of the fourth. Fancy pickup by Tulowitzki. That'll work for Jordan Lyles.
a lot of respect for Jimmy Rollins, the Phillies shortstop on the other side.
What makes it cool is he came from the Bay Area, just like me, so I think that's where our relationship is there. And being a shortstop, he's someone that I watched as a youngster, just because he came from the area, so I wanted to see how he was going to do in the big leagues. And, man, he's had a great career.
Indeed he has. Drew and George, I think there's mutual respect from Rollins to Tulo and vice versa.
Oh, absolutely. And you look at the Cargo got Jimmy's attention right there by almost laying down a bunt, or at least thinking about it with the shift on.
Yeah, here's the thing about it. And a manager, when they shift like this, he's thinking, you want to bunt. That's only one base you're getting. You're not getting 4. That's why I got it set up this way.
He may still do it here.
Well, on the other
leading
side,
off the inning.
Depends on whether you got an athletic pitcher on the mound that can get off. You got to push it pretty hard.
Inside ball 1. Talking about defense in particular with Rollins, ball 2. Rollins and Tulowitzki. Last year, Andrelton Simmons broke the run of Gold Gloves owned by Jimmy Rollins and Troy Tulowitzki. 2-0, and there's the bunt attempt. And I'll tell you what, when he does it, man, he rarely misses. That's one of the few times you see him, like, foul one back.
Hard to bunt a changeup on a 2-0 count. You just don't anticipate that. I mean, you're anticipating an 89 to 91 mile an hour fastball from Kendrick, and he throws you a changeup. So you start the bunt motion early, then the ball doesn't get there.
This ball smoked off of Ryan Howard. And the Rockies have the leadoff man aboard. We'll see how it's scored. You were talking earlier about first baseman when you have a big left-handed bat at the plate. It's going to be scored a base hit. This thing was absolutely smoked.
Sinker down and away, hands back all the way through the baseball. You see that bat speed come through. Howard got over, but he didn't want to get in front of it. He tried to backhand it, and it hit off the heel of the glove on a Mike Shaw Subaru Super Bowl. You'll see it here. Just 2 steps over. It's like, you know what? I really don't want to get in front of that.
Can you blame him? So here's Tulowitzki. 10 for 16 at home so far this year. Both of his home runs have come here at 20th at the Lake. 9 of his 11 RBIs as well. Oh, the squirrel's back. That's good. I was worried about it.
Tell you what, Tim Welke's going to ground screw somebody. Come get this thing.
And now he's going out to visit Jimmy Rollins. Cargo is a very good base stealer with a 1-1 count. Eric Young assisting him at first. Cargo's 2 of 2 so far this year. 21 stolen bases last year. He's caught just 3 times. Troy drives it to left field pretty deep. Brown makes a leaping catch. That's where that 6-foot 6-inch frame really helped out.
Yeah, you didn't really think that ball. I mean, Troy hit that off his front foot, basically one-handed. That shows the bat streak and strength that he has. On a breaking ball down and away, it looked like this pitch could get out of the ballpark, and then that last little leap there by a guy 6'5", you know, guy 6 foot doesn't make this play, and the Rockies looking at another run on a Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo. That last jump there, able to collect the baseball.
Morneau fouls it off. Justin Hit a line shot to deep left his first time up that Brown made a catch on. That's inside. A ball and a strike.
3 pitches in a row, 1-2-9 to 1-3-2. So quick delivery to home plate.
This ball high and deep right field. Take a good look. You won't see it for long. Justin Morneau with a 2-run shot, and the Rockies lead it 3-0. His 3rd of the year, and his first at 20th at Blake.
Yeah, they know they're excited about this. High fastball up out over the plate. And all Kendrick could do is watch the flight of this ball into the night and into the second deck at Coors Field. Mike Shaw Subaru's Super Mo out. You can see they wanted that ball in on his hands. It ran right back out over the middle of the plate. There was a break in the action for everybody standing on the field while Justin Morneau ran around the bases. 13 RBIs now in 11 ball games versus the Phillies.
And Willeen and Chase Utley fields it with his chest.
You know you're going to have to wear a quarterback's grip protector while you play the infield today. Some balls hit hard. That one Tulowitzki got was hit extremely hard.
Yeah, every ball this inning's been barreled. Nolan Arenado got the Rockies going last inning with a base hit up the middle. He would score on a hit and run from first base with DJ LeMahieu. Justin Morneau with the home run. It's actually his 2nd career home run at Coors Field. His first in a Rockies uniform, what I meant to say. He hit a home run with the Twins back here in May of 2008. Dougie, thank you for straightening me out on that one. Nolan's got a 10-game hitting streak. To third. And Ashe completes the play. Rockies put 2 more on the board. Single by Cargo, 2-run home run Justin Morneau. And the Rockies have a 3-0 lead as we head to chapter number 5 at Coors Field on a Saturday night. Big of the pass. Get First Bank free checking at efirstbank.com. Rockies up 3-0. Nolan Arenado, 10-game hitting streak. You just saw Justin Morneau with the 2-run home run. And the first run had to be reviewed and reversed. Nolan Arenado called out at home plate initially, but then they changed it. Carlos Ruiz for blocking the plate. Jordan Lyles got out of a bases-loaded jam last inning, getting a 6-4-3 double play on a hot shot by Dominic Brown. Carlos Ruiz will lead it off in the 5th inning. And this is 2 hops to Tulowitzki on to first. All right, well, during the commercial break, they sent a posse to get the squirrel. And don't worry, they were just trying to, they had the Matador out there on the right, just trying to get him to exit in center field. Then quick, Wilbur, close the door, lock it. Don't let him back in.
I'm telling you right now, that squirrel's happy as he can be. He's out there in the trees again. He's out with the ducks. He's having fun again. You want to know who let him out of the zoo out here with all these people?
Off the plate, ball 1 on Ashe.
See, I mean, look at all the wonderful things out there to play with. He's got water. He's got food. All his buddies are out there.
Yeah, it's going to be happier out there. I agree with you. Hey, this is our Twitter Talk inning, 5th inning. See what kind of questions you have in store for us tonight. Do you think a head first slide into home plate should be made illegal on the ground? I don't know if it should be illegal. It's probably a little unwise, though a lot of guys now do that drive-by slide, Frazier.
Well, it's not head first. I mean, they come by and slap the bag with their hand. They're sliding feet first.
Yeah, you know what? You're right on that. They are. I don't think it should be made illegal.
No, I don't either. I mean, it's just kind of part of the game as it is blocking the plate or not blocking the plate.
And by the way, there were some catchers who were not in favor, ball 1, of the rule change that has taken the contact away from the game of baseball. George, what would your walk-up song be? Melanie. You ever thought about that?
Never had one. Probably a little Willie Nelson of some kind, on the road again or something, having fun. I don't know. You pick one for me, Melanie. You knock it out. You pick one out and send it back to me. Let me know what you think I ought to walk up to. Well, I'll walk into the booth to it every night.
Swung on and missed. We'll have to answer. We'll answer that question when we come back. Good inning for Jordan Lyles. Safely through the 5th inning. 3-0 Colorado. the Lady Antebellum and special guest Clay Walker. That's July 19th at Cheyenne Frontier Days. The grand prize package includes a VIP CBR Bull Riding World Finals experience, concert tickets, hotel, Western wardrobe, plenty more. For official rules and to enter, visit cfdrodeo.com/Lady A. The squirrel is back.
No.
Now
all on tape.
That was actually on tape. Yeah. DJ LeMahieu will lead it off. Beautiful hit and run that produced an RBI for DJ.
Before we went to break, a young lady had asked me how much does the cold weather have an effect on the pitcher's spin on the baseball. It's not so much the spin, it's the grip. That if your fingers start to get really, really cold, and it's not that cold here, but when you get really cold temperatures, you start to lose the feeling off the end of your fingernails. Yeah, one hot pick, not caught, but it'll be thrown over to first base. Ashe to Howard.
Nice play by Cody Ashe.
You know, when you're playing a hot corner, they call it for a reason, hot corner. It's all about reaction to get to a ball. And there's not much you're going to do. You're just going to try to go sideways and pick it and then go to first base with it.
You know, DJ's off to the dugout now after that hot shot. With the RBI early in the ball game, he has 10 RBIs. Arenado with 10. Rosario with 10. Morneau with the 2-run home run earlier, 10. Tulowitzki 11. Cargo 13. Charlie Blackmon 10. Everybody in the Rockies lineup, save the pitcher in the 2-hole, Drew Stubbs, has 10 plus. Now, if Kadyr's in there, which he normally would be, you'd have 1 through 8, 19 games into the season, or more accurately 18 and a half. Your entire lineup would have at least 10 RBIs each.
Compared to the Phillies lineup, which is their everyday lineup, has 3.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, that's big time, kid. That's great.
Two outs, nobody on. Charlie Blackmon in a horrendous slump. He's 0 for 2.
I'm seeing a lot more rain starting to fall here as I look up towards that third deck.
Blackmon held up. Here's the leader so far in average in the National League. Utley with base hit tonight, 431. Charlie started the day at 426, down to 413.
Really good changeup, similar to what he threw Cargo did. He fouled off to attempting to bunt with the shift on 78 miles an hour with that changeup, well out in front. Really got on top of it. Spun to the inside. It's a semi-split change. So you put a screwball spin on the ball, a reverse spin that takes it away from you.
Ground ball through the right side. The slump is over.
Well, you know, some guy's been on vacation, coming home and just listen to Drew say slump, 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 and they're going to go, he's hitting 418. He shouldn't have gone on vacation because you've watched somebody swing a bat really well all the way through this thing. Charlie Blackmon, you're going to try to get that slider down and into you on the Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo, and he just gets the bat head out, stays in front of it, and puts it out of the reach of Chase Utley.
He's now 17 for 32 at home this year. Drew Stubbs 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground ball to short. See if Charlie goes early in the count here. That's what Kendrick was thinking. At the start of the year, you thought it was going to be some kind of platoon in center field, but Walt Weiss can't take Charlie Blackmon out of the lineup.
Well, it was interesting the other day in San Diego when he was having his media conference. When he got done, he just said, you know, what he did a year ago. And I said, yeah, you mean lead the league in hitting since August 1st last year? And he goes, right. He said, I knew in spring training, struggled a little bit. I pulled him aside. I talked to him numerous times, but I never said you're on the team. I wanted to keep that little carrot out there in front of him. But then he finally, you know, obviously made the ball club. And he said, based on what he did a year ago, he was going to be my center field
Blackmon takes off. The throw to second is low. Charlie has another stolen base.
His 5th of the year.
That's an impressive bag, George, for me, because Kendrick knew he was going to go.
A slight step to the plate, off-speed pitch, but a little bit up on the tag. And that's what happened. The ball skipped. Lucky that Utley was able to catch this ball, even to get a chance to apply the tag.
Out there for Stubbs. 1 strike count on Drew.
Stubbs trying to change his luck. 1 for 12 on the season so far with runners in scoring position.
Strike 3. That was there. So Blackmon is left at second base. We'll go to the 6th inning. The Rockies shutting out the Phillies 3-0.
Before each game when he's starting, this is at the end of his warm-ups, he does this, what he calls a ninja kick hop. He just gets up as high as he can. I asked him about it, and he said, well, I'm a ninja warrior. And then he said, secondly, you know what? It reminds him that it's a kid's game, and he wants to play the game like a kid. And speaking of being a kid, we got a onesie here. Went to like Joann's Fabrics and just got a pattern and hooked himself up with it. It's Matt, right? Adam. Adam's got it. How about that, guys? Made it. His own onesie. His own Rockies onesie.
Pretty impressive, Mark.
Nobody knows what to say, so.
Yeah.
But we're up here by the rooftop.
When you don't have anything positive to say, it's best to remain silent.
I have no problem with the onesie.
Thank you, George.
How's the rooftop tonight up there, Mark? Pretty good?
The rooftop is slamming. It is rocking. It's a place to be, George.
Ben Revere thrown out by Willeen Rosario, trying to bunt his way on. 1 out in the 6th inning. Jimmy Rollins with a base hit his last time up. One of the 3 hits that the Phillies have accumulated. Chatwood last night was terrific for 7 innings, 1 unearned run. Jordan Lyles has backed that up tonight. Dropped a breaking ball in there. It's 1-1.
They schedule group tour outings around Coors Field. You can do it in group, or you can do it individual too. They'll be happy to show you where you would like to go. But if a group shows up, wonderful time. They'll put your name up on the scoreboard. Bring your group of 25 or more. Call Coors Field today.
Inside. Jimmy Rollins in 2007 set a major league record when he produced 527 outs. And you say, man, that's a brutal year. Well, not exactly. Because that year he had 716 official at bats, also a major league record, 778 plate appearances, a major league record. He had 296. He had 30 home runs, 38 doubles, 20 triples, and he drove in 94. And oh yeah, he stole 41 bases. So yeah, he made 527 outs. But the other times,
he's pretty good.
He was pretty good. So good, in fact, that he was the National League MVP. Ground ball, foul. Year the Rockies, as you know, went to the World Series. Matt Holliday was second in the MVP vote, and Rollins has a one-out single, his second hit of the game, and that'll bring up Chase Utley. Utley's 1 for 2. The day after every Rockies win, and there was one yesterday and one the day before. Get 40% off your online order at Papa John's. Enter promo code ROCKSWIN at papajohns.com. Utley off to a great start. Played college baseball at UCLA with former prominent Rocky Garrett Atkins. He's now retired from the game.
Tell you what, he left, went over to Pittsburgh, things didn't work out, just disappeared. Done trying to play.
This is caught by DJ. Helps to be 6'4". We've said that a couple times this year as he's taken hits away from players.
Kind of like Dominic Brown in left field. He timed his lead perfectly. Line shot here. He had to time that perfectly. And he does. Ball not hit particularly hard, had a lot of top spin on it. DJ able to go up and get it.
Fielding percentage among active second basemen with at least 150 starts. He's #1. 2 outs. Ryan Howard at the plate. Singled in the 4th, struck out swinging back in the 1st. Low. Speaking of Atkins, Garrett, his rookie year was 4th in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. 2005 it was the year that Ryan Howard won it, and Rollins gets back in. You know who was second that year? This is interesting. That Rookie of the Year voting, George, in 05. Howard wins it. He's in the ballpark. Willie Taveras was second. Guy who was a Rocky and did a great job in 07, the World Series year. Jeff Francoeur, who's been in the news lately for that prank, was third. Atkins was fourth. Jeff Francis was sixth. Did he go? Nope. And it's 3-1. Hey, we thank you again for texting in your questions during Toyota Talk. For more answers to your questions, visit the Root Sports Facebook page at facebook.com/RootSportsRM. I think they had the count wrong. Now it's 3-1. And a ground ball to Morneau, and he's going to have to smother it. And Lyles, 6 shutout innings, 79 pitches, 3-0 Rockies. Brought to you by Dodge Ram. Visit Dodge.com or your local Dodge dealer today. And by AT&T, rethink possible. Rockies leading 3-0. Jordan Lyles, as Tyler Chatwood was last night, is a big part of the story. 6 shutout innings. He has held the Phillies to 4 hits. Justin Morneau with a 2-run home run in the 4th inning. And you'll see him again here in a few minutes. Carlos Gonzalez will lead things off. Cargo a base hit, and he was aboard in the 4th when Morneau went deep.
Walt hoping he gets something tacked on here against Kendrick. He's been fairly good to this ball game. 4 hits given up in the game. Excuse me, 5 hits given up. And 3 runs through 5 innings.
Enormous shift is on again. You know, there's shifts, and then this one's dramatic because Howard is literally, George, he's 1 step off the line, and Ashe is really pulled over in short right field toward the line.
Well,
and this ball driven high and deep left field. Brown going back, and he makes the catch right up against the wall. Wow. How do you like that? Brown's been tested a little bit tonight, hasn't he?
Yeah, the drive by Tulowitzki into the gap. He jumped, caught that. This one here, he had time because of the height of the ball to get back, kind of find where he was on the warning track, stick his rear end out, and use it as a brace to get back against those gates. Right over in the left field and makes the catch.
Hey, you like fundamentals? Brown went up with 2 hands, right?
It's the way you're supposed to do it, the way you're taught to do it. Not everybody just follows through with that.
To third as she knocks it down. Not going to get Tulowitzki.
I kind of slapped at it as it came to him at third base. Ashley not able to hang on to the baseball. Would have been a great play even if he would have. If he'd had a chance at Tulowitzki. He squeezed, the ball popped out, and he just had to eat it. Watch right here as that ball gets in on the Mike Shaw Subaru Super Mode. Hit right in the heel of the glove, spun around, made a full circle in the web, popped out.
So a base hit. One out. Here's Morneau again. Hit a 2-run home run over the auxiliary scoreboard his last time up.
Fastball elevated about 4 inches above the belt. Only went about 400 feet to right.
Bouncing ball to Howard, to Rollins, and an errant throw by Rollins. It won't hurt the Phillies as it didn't go out of play. Ruiz chased it down. So scored 3-6, fielder's choice. Morneau to first, 2 outs. Willeen Rosario to the plate.
Well off the mark after this throw by Howard to Rollins. You see Tulowitzki kind of getting into him and just threw a cutter. This you got to remember, he's 6'6" coming over to first base, talking about Kyle Kendrick. That was well out the line.
Rockies up 3-0 after the meeting. Rosario against Kyle Kendrick. Willeen has grounded out twice, once to short, once to second. Auto glass issues, trust Safelite. Go online to safelite.com or call 303-287-5000 to schedule an appointment. Pop-up right side. Utley going out. In the inning, a base hit by Tulowitzki, nothing else. And as we go to the 7th, the Rockies have all the runs. Here's the AT&T fan photo of the game. Tweet your photo to hashtag #COFanPhoto for a chance to be shown in an upcoming game. And oh, look at this. We got a family with Nolan. How about that? The Weaver family. Really neat. Marlon Byrd here in the top of the 7th inning. Byrd ground out and a walk. This is going to be a pop out. And Willeen does a good job. 1 pitch, 1 out. That was the 79th pitch of the evening for Jordan Lyles. How good's he been, man?
Been outstanding. You think back and look at this start. He's given up 3 hits. He threw 3 no-hit, and he had a little bit of a trouble there. We had the bases loaded. The double play flipped him out of it. A 1-out single in the 6th. That's it. A lot of ground ball outs for Lyles.
Dominic Brown, ground ball to second, and I think easily the biggest play of the game. Philadelphia has just been abysmal scoring runs this year, particularly this week. Brown, with the bases loaded and 1 out, hit a 1-hopper to the left of Tulowitzki. Troy gloved it and turned it into a 6-4-3. That goes to center field. It's a 3-2 ball game.
No question. Well, you also don't know for sure what happens after that either. You know, does it happen now that base hit happened? Does it give them momentum, some confidence out of their dugout?
2-1, slicing ball. Cargo on the move. Got it. 2 outs.
MLB.TV Premium. That's right, Premium, the #1 live streaming sports service, is celebrating 12 years. Join the millions of subscribers and watch every out-of-market game live in true HD on over 400 devices.
Ruiz has hit the ball on the ground twice to the left side. One strike count on Chooch. And here's the ball that Dominic Brown hit. Bases loaded, 1 out. I mean, it's smoked, and Troy comes up with it. And then the easy part was for DJ. He had a lot of time.
12 of the first 15 outs for Jordan Lyles came on ground balls. The last 4 have been flyouts, although one of those to Willeen Rosario, 1 to shortstop. He's pitched brilliantly. Rex Brothers has started to throw down in the Rockies bullpen.
And Lyles, weak ground ball after weak ground ball. 1-2-3 through the Phillies in the 7th. 3-0 Rockies. Stretch time at 20th and Blake. Look back. Fourth inning, Carlos Gonzalez aboard. Justin Morneau with a 2-run home run. His first at Coors Field in the Rockies uniform. His third of the year. And that gave the Rockies a 3-0 lead they now enjoy. Jordan Lyles has been the story. 7 innings, 89 pitches, 4 hits, and most importantly, a bagel in the run category.
But starting pitching the last 2 nights, 14 innings, no runs. Pretty good.
Again, Cooney Lexus, where luxury has a new address, open in Greenwood Village and Colorado Springs. Nolan Arenado, 1 for 2. And it's not like Kyle Kendricks pitched poorly.
Pitched very well here. 6 hits, 3 runs given up through 6. Been able to command both sides of the plate. Lyles is due up 3rd in the inning. Brothers has kind of put the jacket on, shut things down. That doesn't mean he's done for the night. Meaning he might get up here if the Rockies get something going.
Arenado with the soft liner, gloved by Rollins.
Pretty amazing. This pitching staff has yet to give up an earned run in the last 21 innings. LeMahieu 1 for 2 on the night.
Last night, the Rockies allowed only 2 hits. 7th time ever at Coors Field that they allowed 2 hits or less. 21st time in franchise history that they allowed 2 hits or less.
Well, it all comes down to the same thing that this game has never changed. If you could pitch it, you catch it, you're going to win an awful lot of baseball games. And the Rockies have not struck out a ton of people the last 2 ball games or the last 21 innings. But they've had a lot of ground ball outs. The defense has been spectacular. And they're winning. They've won all 3 ball games.
Join Root Sports and the Rockies for a great cause. Batter Up for Kids. Pick your favorite Rockies player to back, and for every hit they get, a monetary donation is made to Children's Hospital and Special Olympics Colorado. Go to Rockies.com/batterup to sign up and track your favorite player.
To answer that question, Jordan Lyles with 89 pitches so far in the ball game will go out to pitch the 8th. Good.
Jordan a couple of ground outs, but in the 3rd inning did a good job moving LeMahieu when he was at second base. Didn't get the bunt down on the first attempt. Was able to hit a ball on the ground and move him up. Chase Utley has an easy play. So Kendrick gets the Rockies 1-2-3 in the 7th. We move on to inning number 8. Colorado leading 3-0.
Green pack going towards planting trees. Rockies on top 3-0 here. The Phillies with just 4 hits, all because of that man right there, Jordan Lyles. Has been outstanding. Spread the hits out. He's working into the 8th inning for the 4th time out of 69 starts.
He has been most impressive tonight. It's going to be Ashe leading off, and then Tony Gwynn is in the on-deck circle. That pitch misses down low.
Gwynn 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter.
Fouled off. Ashe, a career .287 hitter in the minor leagues.
Has made it here very quickly. Last year he had 5 home runs in September playing for Philadelphia. 20+ RBIs to go along with those 5 home runs.
You know where he's from, George? Sumwalt.
You're saying that correct.
Fort Sumwalt West High School in your state.
St. Louis, Missouri, basically.
Is that where it is? And he went to the University of Nebraska. Good baseball program.
Probably played for Mike Anderson, who's now an assistant at Oklahoma.
That's right. One and 2 on Ashe. Just missed 2 and 2. Leadoff single for Ashe.
Kendrick only threw 82 pitches in the ballgame. Good outing either way you look at it. Him and Jordan Lyles both very good.
And Walt Weiss is going to go get Boone Logan. Standing ovation for Jordan Lyles. 7+. Outstanding. Boone Logan comes on. Our cold, hard, Coors Light, cold, hard facts brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. This season, the first 9 games, the bullpen was not very good. Opponents hitting .322. Since that time, the last 9, they have been unbelievably good.
Near the top in the National League in all of baseball. Boone Logan's numbers now. He has yet to give up an earned run. 5 strikeouts and 4 innings of work. Tony Gwynn Jr. went back to the dugout. Now Mabry is the pinch hitter.
And Gwynn was announced, so Gwynn is gone.
These two have never faced each other. What a surprise working both ways.
That's a strike. Options for Walt Weiss. Boone Logan's been great. Rex Brothers struggled earlier in the week, though he came back and had a dominant 1-2-3 inning with a couple of punch outs in his last outing. But here in the 8th inning, it's Boone Logan. And that's slowly hit. This is a tough play because Mabry can run, and wide at first. Mabry will reach as that throw pulled Morneau off the bag. So it's first and second, nobody out, and that'll bring up Ben Revere in the 8th.
A good thing though that Morneau was able to catch the baseball. She'll pull him off. Logan did a good job. Short choppy steps on that wet surface. And watch when the throw comes towards first base. I mean, this ball could easily skip down the right field line. Morneau doing the right thing, coming off the bag and catching the baseball. On a Mike Shaw Subaru Supermo, it is an error on Boone Logan.
Revere is 0 for 3. Strike 1. Lefties 0 for 5 this year against Logan. And Revere's also 3 for his last 22. Ground ball to first, and there's only one play, and that's to run to the bag for Morneau, and there are runners at second and third with 1 out now for Jimmy Rollins. The switch hitter will flip around and bat from the right side.
He has not faced Boone Logan either. The only other guys in this lineup coming in quickly, Howard is 2 for 4, Utley 0 for 4.
Jimmy came into the ball game 2 for his previous 19. He's got a couple hits tonight. There's a home run lefty and a home run righty.
And the Rockies with a 3-run lead will give up the run to get the out. Playing defense normally.
Ball and a strike. Ground ball to short. Now to get the run home. 2 outs. 3-1 the score. 11th RBI for Rollins. And Chase Utley will come up. That's why this inning, once Ashe reached, really set up well for Boone Logan.
Well, it does set up very well for Boone Logan. And again, Utley has not done anything against him. He's 0 for 4 in his career. By the way, a year ago, Boone Logan inherited it. Remember, he was more of a left-handed specialist. Inherited 55 base runners and only 17 scored. So he's successful almost 71% of the time. This year, he's inherited 5 and only 1 has scored.
Strike 1 on Utley. It's 0-2.
His placement of the slider, really concentrating to keep his hand on top of the baseball and spin it in a position that you induce the swing, but not solid contact can be made. That's a good pitch.
See if he goes back to the slider here with 2 strikes.
Stardo's up if they tie it, Diekman if they don't.
Got him on a slider. Well done, Boone Logan. The Phils do cash in 1 run. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Rockies ahead 3-1.
He had his number 13 retired at his high school in Atlanta, Texas. And he said to me, it's the first time he's been able to wear the number in the big leagues because he played for the Reds. It's retired because of Davey Concepcion. And when he played with the Indians, Asdrubal Cabrera had it. So he's finally wearing 13. Atlanta, Texas, by the way. Somebody famous from his high school. Are you guys ready? Graduated 76. Ellen DeGeneres. And he said that his parents, Kathy and Ricky, are watching back in Atlanta. His mom's maiden name is All Day. The All Day department store, 5 generations in his family. It started in 1880, and they just shut it down a couple of years ago. So good to have Drew here with the Rocks.
A little background information. That's quite a bit of background information. Thank you, Mark. Jake Diekman's in the ball game for the 9th time. Look at his numbers. Not pretty.
I think got roughed up, obviously, but he can strike some people out. 13 strikeouts in 7 1/3 inning. He gave up the home run.
That's a bunch of punch-outs.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of punch-outs.
Rollins, quick release, and Charlie Blackmon's retired. Charlie 1 for 4 tonight. That'll bring up Drew Stubbs. Phil's one of those teams that do carry 3 lefties in their bullpen.
Kind of strange. Some teams have 1 or none, and then you run into a team like Philadelphia with 3. Hollins, Diekman, and Bastardo. That's nasty stuff.
No, the Rockies,
96-mile-an-hour heater on the knees.
Yeah, the Rockies for about 48 hours had 3 down there when Morales was down there. And all hard throwers. Morales, Logan, and Rex Brothers. Final line for Jordan Lyles, 7 innings plus. Gave up 1 run. He was unearned. 5 hits, a walk, and a couple of punch-outs. 92 pitches. Great job, Jordan Lyles. Here's the 0-2. 2 outs.
So far out in California, Jolie Chassin, 4 1/3 innings, 4 hits, 3 runs. He's walked 1, struck out 2, and given up a home run.
Say that line again.
4 1/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, and 2 strikeouts. A home run given up. Chassin has thrown 59 pitches, 38 for strikes. He has 6 ground ball outs in that ball game.
Building up arm strength. Cargo with 2 outs. Cargo nearly hit 1 out to left field his last time up. Dominic Brown made a nice running catch right up against the wall. Had to reach up to make the catch. Cargo 1 for 3. Two and out.
That's difficult. You got a 6'6" left-hander on the hill, and then you stride towards first base. Mike Shaw, Subaru Supermo, stride towards first, and then the ball comes back to home plate. Very intimidating pitch.
Two and two. Back to the slider, and he strikes out Cargo. We'll go to the 9th inning. The Rockies leading 3-1. LaTroy Hawkins will try to nail it down. SouthwestSouthwest.com. By CenturyLink, your link to what's next. And by Jeep, visit Jeep.com to learn more. In lower downtown Denver, we've arrived at the top of the 9th inning. The Rockies trying to make it 3 straight, move a game over 500. Lead the Phillies 3-1. Coming up after the ball game, as always, the Toyota postgame show. Here's Jenny Kaplan.
Thanks, Drew. We hope to have a celebratory Toyota postgame show the way the Rockies are looking. We'll be talking about squirrels. Yeah, we're definitely going to talk about squirrels. How about the distracting 3rd inning? Matt Belisle waving the squirrel towards the door. He would eventually find the exit. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about some baseball, too. What do you guys say? Nolan Arenado, he's streaking a 10-game hit streak. And Jordan Lyles, he pitched into the 8th. Plenty of good things to talk about. Maybe we can find that squirrel. I think he's at the convention center on water skis.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know. Drew?
I have seen a squirrel on water skis. Drew, probably. Have you seen the one at the convention at the boat shows?
I have seen
that
the
dude's
squirrel
good,
at
man.
water
He
skis.
can really do it.
Wondering if that is the same squirrel.
No, it's not. LaTroy Hawkins. Here's in for his 7th ball game, 4 save opportunities, and a fine earned run average of 159. Troy likes quick innings, ground ball outs, work through it. A veteran guy, been around a while, folks, and he'll catch it at the top of this thing, or I should say in the middle of this, with Howard, then Bird.
Now the closers, by and large, in the NL West this year have been very good. Troy Hawkins making his 7th appearance. Ryan Howard with the shift on, a single back of the 4th inning for Ryan. Upstairs with the fastball, ball 1. So here's what the closers in the NL West have done. Houston Street's been terrific. LaTroy's been outstanding. Romo, Addison Reed 3 of 4. Kenley Jansen has kicked a couple. Padres leading the Giants again 2-1, 7th inning.
Padres playing pretty good baseball.
Troy's ready, 1-1. Tied him up, 1-2. If you have auto glass damage, call SafeLight at 303-287-5000, or you can reach them online at safelight.com. Arenado, he played a lot of shortstop growing up, as the first one in the 9th inning. That'll bring up Marlon Bird. Time now for the Rockies' upcoming schedule, brought to you by CenturyLink. Link to what's next. Here's what the next 3 weeks look like. The Giants will follow the Phils to town. Then the Rockies will go on the road again. 6 games on the road, 3 in LA and 3 in Phoenix. Then the Mets will play a 4-game set at Coors Field. The Texas Rangers, that's a home-and-home deal. Last year was the Astros playing the 2-2, and this year it'll be the Rangers playing the 2-2 with the Rockies. 0-1 on Bird. Willeen sets up on the outside corner. And this is an easy play for Troy. 2 outs. You know, Georgie set up on the outside corner, and that's exactly where the slider went. There was pretty good contact, but it's really more of a rollover.
That's what you're trying to accomplish. LaTroy be well beyond trying to strike out the side. I'm just trying to get out. He does that and utilizes it with his sinker. Well, it's last out. Always bring the crowd to your feet. No different here at Coors Field, as he'll try to go right at Dominic Brown with 2 outs and nobody on.
in the air, center field. This should get it done. Stubbs has got it, and a quick and efficient 1-2-3 ninth again for LaTroy Hawkins. And the Rockies have defeated the Phils on consecutive nights. Last night in blowout fashion, 12-1. Tonight it was Jordan Lyles holding them down, and a 3-1 victory as the Rockies move to 10-9 on the season, and the Phillies fall to 7-10. Terrific job by Jordan Lyles. You can't say enough about his performance. He took the baseball into the 8th inning. He improves to 3-0 on the season. Kyle Kendrick drops to 0-2. Rockies win it 3-1. Hawkins his 5th save. And the Rockies, no earned runs allowed, by the way, in the last 23 innings. How about that, Jenny?
I love it. You know what else I love, Drew? A new tradition on the Toyota postgame show. We get chocolate-covered bacon when the Rockies win a series at home, and that's exactly what happened. So these boys are going to finish it up, and we'll be back right after this with the Toyota postgame show. Colorado winning 3-1. Yeah, Dustin.